According to the GSS, 1 in 5 people will cheat in their marriage over their lifetime. 20%. My material is based on being positive and having an uplifting tone towards marriage and relationships, but obviously, if you talk about marriage, you need to talk about the bad stuff too. But cheating is probably the worst thing that can happen in a marriage. It's by far the most common thing that people talk about when they're asked why they got divorced. So let's talk about it. After doing relationship material and being around this sphere for about 5 years, I've heard it all. But after a while, you start recognizing certain things keep popping up. So this episode is not about why people cheat. This is about who people cheat with. So what we're talking about here is physical cheating. What I'm going to do in this episode is I'm going to count down from the least common that I hear to the most common that I hear. So the top 6. Number 6, an old boyfriend or a girlfriend. This is so common now because of social media. 30, 40 years ago, we didn't have social media. So if you broke up with a girlfriend or a boyfriend, they're gone. You don't ever see them again. You won't ever speak to them again. Now, all it takes is a simple Google search to find somebody that you were romantically involved with in your past. It's very, very tempting for somebody that's in a bad relationship. A simple message on Messenger, hey, how you doing? Question mark. That literally can start a relationship that is inappropriate completely. Really, in my opinion, just messaging an old girlfriend just like that is inappropriate and should be called out if it's discovered. That's just my 2 cents. Take it or leave it. So that's number 6. Number 5, a neighbor. Close proximity with people creates an opportunity and it creates temptation. Where you live is where you're going to spend a lot of your time, obviously, and you will see somebody walking down the street. You might strike up a conversation with them. You're going to see them back and forth. You might get together with neighborhood parties, HOA meetings, and things like that. You're gonna be involved with your neighbors to a degree. You'll see them back and forth, and in some cases, a lot of times it's really just a walk in the neighborhood. You're gonna come across somebody. You're gonna strike up a conversation, and that can easily evolve into an inappropriate relationship. I've heard that many, many times. So that's number 5. Number 4, kids sports leagues. Okay, now I'm going to talk about men and women. They're a little bit different with this one. So when you take your kids to the soccer league, okay, other moms of kids are going to be tempting to guys. Okay, that's what I hear about from most people. They'll talk about getting involved with Johnny's mom. Okay, and they met them through soccer, flag football, basketball, whatever. For ladies, it's a little different. It seems like coaches are particularly tempting for women. I mean, dads of other kids too, obviously, but it just seems like something about the coach is tempting for a woman. I just hear that over and over. So for guys, it's typically the moms of other kids, and for women, it's typically the coaches of their children. That's just what I hear. The other thing about sports leagues is the fact that our time is more and more devoted to kids leagues, sports leagues nowadays, as opposed to our parents. I'm a Gen X guy, so sports leagues they really weren't that big when I was younger. They're getting more and more prominent, more and more necessary. If your kid wants to play high school, they have to specialize in sports. That's kind of the way things are now when it comes to parenting. So if you divide and conquer, you're going to go to the soccer field by yourself. The potential affair partner is going to be doing the same thing, and you can see how that could be very, very easy. Anything that's going to create proximity is going to create opportunity and temptation. It's the way it is. So that's number 4. Number 3, a friend of a spouse. Okay, that can be husband or wife. Especially true with people that have a tendency to hang out with other couples. I've seen that over and over. People will vacation with friends, And an inappropriate relationship can develop from spouses interacting with other spouses. I've seen that many, many times. But particularly if you're vacationing with another couple, that opportunity, that proximity is going to create a temptation for some people. Am I saying this for everybody? No, not at all. But I'm definitely saying that this goes for men and women. All of these things go for it. It goes both ways. A lot of people, a lot of guys in my comment section have a tendency to think that women are the only ones responsible for cheating. That's not true. Men are just as guilty as women are. It's really about the same. Like I said, 1 in 5. It's what it comes down to. But if you create a close connection between somebody else's spouse, you can see how that could happen. Okay. If you're unhappy in your relationship, you're connecting more with somebody else that's already married. They're typically pretty decent people. You can see how it could happen. Very, very common. So that's number 3. Number 2, the gym. I can't tell you how many times I've heard women in particular getting involved with their trainer, specifically CrossFit. I'm not sure what it is about CrossFit, but I see that a lot. Okay. A woman, say for instance, right around age 40, she really gets into this health kick. She'll hire a trainer, starts losing weight, gets more and more confident, isn't exactly in the best marriage or the best relationship, and a relationship develops very, very quickly. And I've lost count how many times I've heard that particular scenario play out. If you've been affected by that, go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section. It's very, very common. I see that a lot. I hear that a lot from guys. And for guys, it's typically just a gym buddy or a gym crush. If you're in a spin class where you keep seeing the same woman over and over, you feel this attraction. That close proximity creates opportunity and creates temptation over and over. That's basically how an affair will start. Proximity, opportunity, and then temptation. Some people can't handle that, but I don't know what it is about the CrossFit thing, but I hear that often. Just somebody going to CrossFit, developing a relationship with somebody that's another member, specifically ladies for that one. I hear that a lot. So that's the number 2. And the number 1 area where people meet their affair partner is work. By far, end of discussion, workplace romance. It's way more common than it was 50 years ago because women are working and they're in the workplace a lot more than they used to be. They'll get involved with other colleagues, other coworkers, whether it be the typical scenario of a secretary getting involved with their boss. It's usually a coworker that they go to lunch with often, they develop a connection with. When it comes to men and women and sexual relationships, we're just designed chemically to pursue that kind of thing. If you start developing a connection with somebody that's not your husband or your wife, and you're not necessarily connected with your spouse, it's very, very easy to develop a relationship with somebody that literally you're probably spending more time with your coworker than your spouse. That goes for a lot of relationships nowadays. A full-time job, you're in the office for 40 hours. Well, there's only so many hours in a day. So proximity creates opportunity, creates temptation. There's no better hotbed for affairs than the workplace, period. That goes for men and women. The number 1 scenario that I've heard when it comes to affairs from people directly, I'm not talking about people that I've read about or heard about. These are people that have spoken to me. It's usually work trips. Okay. They'll develop the relationship in the workplace, but they take it to the next level on work trips. Okay. So they're out of town for a weekend. They're at a conference. If you're both staying in a hotel, the spouse isn't there. You're there for 2 days. You could see how that happen very, very, very easily. And I have heard that scenario way more than anything else. So Workplace romance develops into a physical relationship on a work trip, okay, a business trip. That goes for men and women. I hear it all the time. It's very, very common, especially now. I mean, women are more professional than they ever have been, and they're gonna have to have conferences. They're gonna have to maintain their CE hours if they're a professional, and if their spouse isn't in the same field, they're gonna be alone a lot of times, and that temptation can be there, especially if a relationship is not going well. So there you have it. That's the top 6 scenarios that I have heard over and over and over after being in this field for 5 years, talking to people directly, hearing from people. Some of these things are things that I've seen in my own life. I have no respect for affairs. If you want to have a relationship outside of your marriage, end your marriage. Okay, that's how I feel about it. That's what I've always felt about it. That goes for girlfriend and boyfriends. If you're not married, if you want to be with somebody else, you can be with somebody else, but don't tread on both sides. Okay, I just don't have any respect for it. I've never cheated on any girlfriend that I've ever had. Obviously, never my wife. She feels the same way about it, and open discussion about that kind of thing. What you consider is cheating, what you don't consider is cheating, what your limitations are. All of those things that's fair game. You should have those conversations, particularly before you get married, so you're on the same page. Okay, so the boundaries are set. A lot of the people that I talk to in this particular arena with affairs, they have very weak boundaries. They see the warning signs and they don't enforce their boundaries, and it just progresses to the next level. These things happen, and unfortunately, humans are flawed. No one's perfect, and especially if your relationship is on a rocky road, if your life is in a bad place, a lot of times these things can happen, and I can see how it can happen. But I still don't have any respect for it. So that's just me. I have zero tolerance when it comes to cheating and infidelity, emotional or physical, because these type of scenarios that I was talking about, they destroy families and they destroy other families. Everything's all about family. It's about the people that you interact with and the people that you love, and they love you back. Period. So there you have it. So if you like this material, please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate everybody that's hit the subscribe button already. We're just getting started with this. And until next time, be better than you were yesterday and be desirable.